It was the OVO lounge. We go back to the OVO lounge, and it's me by myself, which is weird. I'm like,
which is
okay,
like
he's like, help you. Yeah, this is like Drake's private car, but like as you would learn, with any of this stuff, Drake ain't fucking hanging out at the goddamn arena, Like he pulls up
5 minutes before he goes on.
Exactly, right before he goes, and then leaves like right away. He's getting like chilling. It's like every fucking flavor of Ciroc imaginable. And Jamil was like, "Yeah, let's make yourself a couple drinks. You can take one out to your friends, whatever." I'm like, "All right, cool." So I'm sitting there like making drinks, and then fucking like DeMarcus Cousins comes up and like kind of hits me. He's sitting here like trying to make a drink and stuff as well, and he's like 12. He's like, "Sorry." I'm like, "I'm sorry. You're fucking huge."
yeah. Yo, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the SNS podcast. We are hanging out with my man and official co-host Trevor Swenson.
Hi, everybody.
And the legendary Will Stevenson. Excited to have you, bro.
Oh, happy to be here, guys.
You are a legend.
Infamous, I think, is more than anything else.
I mean, he's not kidding, though. You really are an infamous individual.
Yeah, dude, for all the worst reasons.
All right, so for our fans and guests that aren't familiar with the Will Stevenson, why don't you give us a little rundown of who you are, where you're from? Past movie stars you've been married to, type of stuff.
We're still going through the divorce. It's not good. Name's Will Stevenson, artist manager based out of Sacramento, California. I've known you two for a few years up to this point.
Long time.
Was born and raised in Colorado, and then I've been in California since the last 17 years, almost half my life. Actually, this year I think is going to be next year.
Has it really been that long?
That I've been that I spent half my life in Colorado, half my life in California.
So
does that make me officially in California now?
Only so. If you say hella.
Which I do. Actually, I was very anti-hella when I moved out here. I was friends with a lot of SoCal people, and they're like, fucking trashy ass NorCal people only say hella. And I was like, yeah, I'm never gonna say that. And then I moved up here and I started hanging around people like Simon all the time and started dropping hella. So then when I dropped that around my SoCal friends from college or whatever, they were like just so disappointed. They're like, oh, really? You're saying that word now? I'm like, yeah. I'm hella NorCal. What can I say? Yeah.
Well, you said the magic word. I think we could talk about what brought you out here, and that is college.
Yeah.
Right? And you went to college here in Northern California.
Correct, in Stockton, about 45 minutes south of Sacramento.
It's a lovely city.
Oh, just a great vacation destination. Yeah, it's very nice.
It seems kind of crazy that there is a prestigious college in Stockton, California.
That was there before everything else. Like that was,
yeah.
It's actually, UFP was the oldest co-educational institution in California. We sold our medical school back in the early 20th century, I think.
Well, we left off, essentially just talking about Stockton and, you going to college there and what was it like? It's kind of a ghetto town.
It is a ghetto town. It was actually kind of more ghetto. I remember I was growing up in Colorado. It's like University of Pacific. It's like a tiny ass little school. It's like 4,800 undergrad. Maybe it's closer to 6,000 now, but it's not a big school by any means. And I just wanted to go to school in California, so I was like, this is the only one I got into. And so we did it. Didn't come to the first time I was ever in Stockton was at orientation. So it's like, all right, you've already paid your deposit, and you're in. That's it. You're sucked in. And I remember we were flying out. My parents were flying out with me to drop me off or whatever, and we're in the airplane, and they basically they were talking to these other people who were flying back to Sac. They're like, oh, I'm taking my son to University of Pacific in Stockton. And they're like, oh, it's a really good school. Stockton's an interesting place. And keep in mind that I had no perspective about I was a Colorado kid, so I assumed that everywhere in California has palm trees and beaches and beautiful women, because my experience up to that point had been Los Angeles a few times, and then Santa Barbara, Ojai, right?
Yeah.
Which is you're ruined, right? It's you go anywhere else.
Those are the spots.
Exactly.
And then you go to Stockton, where the closest beach is 3 hours away.
Which is University of Pacific, you close to the ocean? No, not at all. It used to be close to the ocean, then they moved. It was in the San Jose area, and they moved and I just remember getting off the plane. My parents weren't really familiar with it. We got off the plane. We're driving from Sac down to Stockton on the 5, and you're like, fuck is this?
You get off in SAC and you're like, oh, this is cool.
Then you're like, oh, this is weird. Like I was just like, oh, okay, this is fine. Like, and you're driving and you see the big, like the Asian style apartment building that they have right there, like right off the freeway. And
I tried to live there, and then they like, you can't live here. I'm like, why? Like, because you're not Asian. I go,
is that really like
the prerequisite to live there is you have to come from Asian descent.
Well, and you have to be 65 years old.
That's
so
so
I think it's an older
yeah.
Canadian.
Who knows what the fucking inside of that place looks like?
Either way,
but we did. God, what was it like? I mean, when I was there, it was 2 of the years that I was there was the number one violent crime rate in the country. UOP 209 represent
per capita though, like because obviously New Orleans and
per capita, but like I remember there's a picture one of my friends has, and we were in like the liquor store, and it's like USA Today or like Wall Street, LA Times or whatever, and it says like Stockton, Stockton like number one violent crime rate. I'm like, yeah, number one.
Were you in a dorm at that time?
Yeah,
so you were straight living in Stockton.
Yeah, I mean like you get there and you move there, and I remember too that like I got there and the people who were working at the school were telling my parents like, oh, he'll be fine. He has everything he needs. You don't need a car or whatever, which you learn really quickly. It's like that's not the case at all, because like it's a small ass school, so everything kind of shuts down. Exactly, you can't walk everywhere, and this is obviously like way before the days of Lyft and Uber and all that good stuff, and getting taxis and. It was it was a trip. I appreciate it for what it was because, like, it kind of forced you to really just stay around. You didn't really go to bars and stuff, so you developed these really strong relationships, a lot stronger than like my friends went to like really big public schools. So like that was a cool aspect of it, but also too, it's like it's like a bigger high school. So like you hook up with somebody, you got really hammered and threw up all over somewhere, and then like the next morning you wake up and like 4 of your friends are like, heard about last night. You're like, God damn it, really? Can't get away with anything, dude. I mean, it was a trip, but I definitely appreciate it. But like by the time I got done, the cool thing about it was it's like 4-year guarantee. So
yeah,
if you follow our rules and you took all the classes that we tell you to take, you won't, you'll get out of here in 4 years. And by the time like my senior year hit, it was really fun. But I also kind of hit that point where I was just like, okay, I'm ready to jump out and make some money. And
fellas, your balls happy?
Support for Swenson and Bance is brought to you by Manscaped,
the best in men's below-the-waist grooming.
Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels.
This stuff has some sick features.
The waterproof technology allows you to groom in the shower.
One of the coolest features is the LED light, which illuminates grooming areas for closer and more precise trimming.
Let's get that bush and tush clean.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BUYIT at manscaped.com.
Make your testes their bestie.
Your balls and your partner will gladly thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, what's up, guys? Sorry to interrupt you, but before we get back to the show,
make sure you subscribe to our channel right now.
Yes, right now.
We thank you for the support, everybody.
And we're going to get right back to the action. Well, that kind of transitions into the next question, I guess. So you're in your senior year, like you were saying, and...
we have to give full disclosure to everybody that's watching. We've all taken gummies right before we did this.
So, dude, they're literally probably not gonna kick in until like halfway drive home. But I'm not driving. I'm getting picked up by my wife.
He's sober.
I'm totally sober.
So, I want to hear about this acting career of Will Stevenson.
Oh shit.
The acting career. Well, that's how I went to school. I was a theater major, and it's honestly probably the only reason I got into UOP. That, and then, I went to school in 2003, so this is a couple years after 9/11, and that's when like George Bush had come in and essentially canceled all the student visas for like anybody from the Middle East. So it was like kind of fortunate for me because like I was able to get into schools that I probably had no right getting into, like terrible grades in high school. Like, in fact, I even went to like a 4-year school out the gate, and it's like pretty impressive. And I was a theater major because I wanted to be an actor, and I felt like, in order to be a professional actor, you got to go to college and get a degree in acting, and that's the only way it's going to go. And I don't know, you learn really quickly that you don't need that, and actually, it's probably detrimental to have like an acting degree. It's like I don't really have any.
Then they can't train you to do what they want you to do with them. Just do this. Go do that.
We're just like, if this acting thing doesn't work out, and like, thank God, like I obviously moved on from that acting stuff. Like, fairly early. But if it doesn't work out, it's like you got really no skills to kind of fall back on. Not to say that like you didn't learn enough at UOP, but it's definitely one of those situations where you're like, I don't know if this would have worked out so well, and I'm kind of glad I ended up just switching to business like halfway through my sophomore year.
But how did you transition? Your senior year, you're in Stockton, California. You're graduating college, and you're like, "Fuck,
what am I going to do?
Am I going back to Colorado? Am I going to fucking try and go to the Big Apple? Like
that's what everybody. I think like everybody who deals with that, going to college and like you hit that the clock starts ticking.
Well, I don't know.
No, you don't. I was looking more at Trevor.
I have been to college.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like Trevor's like, well, I'll just go to the NFL, so it'll be fine. I'm like, no big deal. I like with me, it was just very like, what am I gonna do? And maybe I can start like looking for things. And especially back when I was looking to make that transition, there was like 3 places you could go in order to be successful in music. It was Los Angeles, New York, Nashville. Those are the 3 hubs. And it's like, okay, I got to do that, and eventually, got to start from scratch and kind of clog your way up. And it probably would have been cool, but fortunately, at that same time, like going into my senior year, I was looking online at absolutepunk.net. They changed their name. It's Chorus FM.
Yeah.
And
that's crazy.
They, our buddy Sean Carano had posted on Absolute Punk that they were looking for an intern. And I was like, well, it's in Sacramento. It's 40 minutes away, probably the closest thing. They had like 7 or 8 artists at the time, and one of them, and I like most of them, wasn't even familiar with. This is like they had like Dance Gavin Dance, Skyline Drive, and stuff, but I didn't know who those bands were.
You were a Denver guy.
I was a Denver guy.
Yeah.
But they did have Drop Dead Gorgeous, so
who at that time was
hot.
Titans.
Yeah,
I mean,
they were like metalcore godfathers of sorts, like kind of
selling
bringing
out
out
every room and shit.
But even so, like I didn't listen to that kind of music. Like I was a pop punk kid growing up.
No,
but
you need to tell the fans who your favorite band is.
Starting Line.
No,
Third Eye Blind.
No,
Nickelback.
Favorite band. Thank you.
I mean, favorite band is it's like top 3. Like if they're doing anything,
right
Will just own it.
They're right there for me.
I mean, I fucking love it. Nickelback's the best band ever. If I could manage a band with that kind of success, I'll die a happy man. Kill myself for a few years and then just retire on a beach somewhere, sipping margaritas.
So you're there. You're in. You see the email from Carano or the post.
The
email, and you're like, okay. You obviously didn't know who Sean Carano was.
No, I don't know who any of these. I don't know who Eric Rushing is, Sean Carano. Like, I'm once again, I'm like a kid from Colorado. I'm not familiar with the music scene in Sacramento. But I did see that they had Drop Dead Gorgeous, and I was like, okay, I don't know that band, but I know I'm familiar with them just because they're from Colorado. And they also had Team Sleep, who I was like slightly familiar with because of Chino from Deftones. So that was like their band.
Which, for people that maybe don't know, Team Sleep is one of Chino's biggest side projects. The
rest in peace.
For the Deftones.
I'm not sure they're ever coming back.
You
but
never know. Crook still lives at Sac.
I know he's like the only one, right?
But they're doing like another Crosses record, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so.
I think that it's exactly like Todd, the guitarist, is a teacher now in L.A. and Crook's like the only one I think who's like.
That's all they need.
We had Zach Hill. That was cool. Like he was in the band when we were managing
Hella.
And Hella, exactly.
To bring up a Sacramento legendary band.
Zach Hill, I think his biggest he got was from...
there was a band named Hella?
Yeah, they were massive, dude. They were really did the damn thing.
But it was crazy. It's like...
There's 2 guys, yeah.
Their music is... So Zach Hill is the drummer for...
Hella.
No, why am I blanking? The big one, the most recent one.
Oh, he graduated into like some bigger mainstream bands, but he started in... Hella.
Started in Hella, a couple other ones. Like, I mean, he can go play in like Staples Center by himself. People just watch him drum. Very chaotic, really all over the place.
Yeah,
but
totally.
They end up. What was the name of that fucking band? Why am I blanking?
I might have to just do it.
Yeah,
it was a massive act, and
no, and they were like super hot, and they broke up. But like he was in the band at the time, so it was really cool. It was a really cool experience. Band like Bright Light Fever was also on our roster, who ended up being, Matt Farrell. You remember Matt Farrell from?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his band with his brothers. It was like his brother and a couple other people. I saw them a bunch of times. They were signed to Stolen Transmission Entertainment, which is like an offshoot of like Geffen and Island Def Jam and stuff.
Death Grips.
Death Grips.
Waves. Yeah,
that's the
Team
one.
Sleep.
The Death Grips was like really like, coming up with that guy. it's like seeing him play. You're just like, fuck, dude, that's like wild. Like you're just you're a madman. Like very jazz style. He was like super chill, very like quiet, reserved, really nice guy. But
hey, Abe's pretty good, man.
Oh, Abe's really good too. But like Abe's like, Deftones is very like they have their sound. It's not like with this shit. It's like jazz, where it's like, okay, you're gonna play for like an hour and it's gonna be like all over the place and tempo changes.
They never play the same song twice.
Yeah, no, it's like
it's like watching a Fish or a Grateful Dead show. You don't know what the hell's gonna happen. It's like, is this still music? What's going on up there?
No, are you sure this is Grateful Dead?
It's like the first time I ever saw Fish at Pepsi Center in Denver. It was in high school, and obviously, like Colorado's really big with the jam band scene. Like the String Cheese Incidents and the Dave Matthews bands, and like all of these like really big bands that did really well. And Fish was obviously did really well. Like one of my good friends.
Well, if you're from Colorado, like Fish and all that, like that's huge. Trey Anastasio is like a god in Denver.
Exactly. I just remember the first time I saw them was at Pepsi Center, and I had like smoked a little weed. This is I was probably like 17 or 18 at the time. Smoked a little weed, drinking. Ended up getting a fucking, what is it called? We ended up getting like a box at the Pepsi Center, and they like my buddy who was supposed to come with me, like one of my best friends. It was a snowstorm was happening. He ended up getting stuck in like Washington D.C. or something, so he wasn't able to go. So I was like there by myself with a bunch of people I didn't know because he went to a different school. So
everyone chipped in a little bit or whatever to get the box.
Well, it's just like if you got a ticket, like I can get you a ticket, and it's like I've never seen him, might as well. It's like worth a shot. Yeah. And I ended up getting like kind of fucked up, and
so you fit in.
Of course, like as you should, but it's also weird, like the Pepsi Center, like this big professional arena, and like as soon as the lights go down, you just see like like smoke and
bellowing up.
I remember making it like halfway through, like because they did like it was like a 3-hour set, and where they played like 10 songs, right, something like that.
Yeah. They just keep going and going and going.
It's like, is this the same song? It's like, yeah, it's still the same song. And we did. I remember we did through because they have an intermission. That's like one of the only times that I've ever experienced like an intermission going to a show. I remember it got done like after an hour and a half, and I looked at my friend and I was like, "That's it? We paid all that money for that, and that's it?" And like, no, dude, that's the intermission. I'm like, "There's an fucking mission." So I growing up like up to that point, I've been going to like punk shows and gone to the Ogden Theater and the Fillmore and the Bluebird and
26-minute sets.
Oh, I still just like pop punk kids like Goldfinger and Real Big Fish and Starting Line and Yellow Cards and Mest and Good Charlotte and all these things. And then go to this, I'm just like, this is like totally not in my wheelhouse. But
you can appreciate that kind of music because it's like it's lunacy, but it makes sense almost. I think. I mean, I've been watching a lot of like Grateful Dead documentaries. I have no idea why, because they founded the band on acid, which is like, that's cool.
Yeah.
So you get high on acid, and then you're like, let's just start a band, and then you become the biggest band almost ever in history.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And then like still maintain it, just like, and it's just like every time you go, it's like one of my friends, her brother would follow around Fish, and you go to this is like way back in the day. You go over to their house, and he had like his cassette tape thing, like how you have the
recording
CD,
yeah.
Where exactly, and it's just like, okay, this is like June 9th, 2001, or like 1998, where they go and they just record these things, and it was just like.
Have you seen the recording pole? Sorry to interrupt. Like where you walk through and they actually have the area roped off where you can set up a recording device and just leave it there so nobody will steal it.
I have not.
That's a thing. Yeah. So about a really good friend of mine in college who actually passed away, but he was a huge Fish head, and obviously a big Deadhead, all that. So, and he would do the same thing, and he would teach me, oh yeah, there's a whole area that you can go and set these mics up and record all the shows, because no show's ever the same. Like they don't play the songs in a row or whatever. They just feel like what they want to play. So you record it because it'll never happen again like that. I'm like, that's crazy. And then what? He goes, and you listen to it. I'm like, okay.
That's weird to me. Like even my favorite shows, I don't think I'd ever be in like a situation where it's like my favorite shows growing up, like I recorded it and then I would just sit there and re-listen to it over and over again. Like,
but you do. So like, and not to, but yeah. So like Woodstock 99, big huge show. You ever? I don't know. You're a big Limp Bizkit fan.
Oh, okay. Big time.
So like, yeah. So, but do you ever throw on a video from like the 90s eras or like early 2000s? Just be like, oh yeah, I was at that show. It was cool. Like, do you ever watch those kind of shows like on YouTube? You never get lost in the rabbit hole in those, huh?
I guess I'm the kind of person that's just like, hey, it happened. It's cool. Next, like, move on to the next one.
I went to a side story. Just speaking about going to live concerts, and obviously I've been to like probably 1,000 with Will. And one we did go to that was absolutely insane was, I want to say this was 2013. Maybe it was the Drake Nothing Was the Same tour.
Was that the one at Arco?
Yeah, baby. Arco
That was a
Arena.
really good one.
It was Drake, and Will had a connection to Jamilo, who was Drake's like head TM.
His tour manager, and he's also like G-Eazy's manager and stuff.
And he had been Wayne's, I think, TM as well.
Yeah, that's how we got to start. He was a scene kid who
He was
went
like
to
a college
school.
radio kid or something.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. In Louisiana, this like smaller school in Louisiana, and he just happened to get in with like Wayne's management, and they were like, "Well, like if you ever want to go out, like and he ended up being like a tour manager for Wayne, and then got stolen by Drake. So like he's been kind of like Drake's go-to, and he went to school. Like one of the other guys who went to that school was G-Eazy, and he ended up making friends with him, and then
and they straight crushed it, and they still are to this day. Obviously, I mean they're living the life, But I just remember going to see that show, and you hit me up, and you're like, "Yo, dude, what's up? I got VIPs to go see Drake," and I was like,
"Yeah, but how fire was he in 2013? Arco, obviously.
"Oh, this was Nothing Was the Same. This was like pinnacle period.
This is
of
like
Drake,
probably
dude.
my favorite. Yeah, my
this
favorite era of Drake. It was. I mean, it was massive. It was sold out. It was like super public. It was Drake, Miguel, and I'm pretty sure Future.
Future opened. Turn off the lights,
which is like crazy. Look back on that.
Who now obviously is like one of the goats as well. But I remember we got there. We walk in, and the VIP section was so fucking rad, dude. It was just like these badass couches, and the couches had the subs under them, and they had built the subs under the VIP section. And we're sitting down, and
there's like nobody else in there.
Yeah, there's
either.
like nobody. It's like us and. I
Dude,
looked
vibrating chairs.
I looked to my right. Oh, it was crazy, dude. It was next level. And like Will's right there. I looked to my right, and like Miguel is standing next to us, and he's like,
he just got off. He's like
4'9",
sweaty, and he's tiny.
Yeah, he was so much smaller than I thought.
he's
Like
a
watching
guy
an
for
arena,
sure.
I was like, holy shit! And I literally remember turning to Will. I was like, is that Miguel? And he was like, yeah, that's Miguel. And then Jamilo comes out, Drake's TM or whatever, and he's Will's friend, who also. He happened to be a massive Dance Gavin.
Yeah,
fan.
big scene. That's like kind of our connection. That's how we know.
Yeah,
Jamil is he's a huge DGD fan.
Which, for the listeners to clarify, at the time, Will was DGD's manager, so it was like that relationship had come in. And I remember you brought a care package of
like CDs,
DGD merch, and whatever.
Just anything that we
just
had
to
sitting
bring-
around the back in the day when we had the office, we had like our whole like wall of like promo material, essentially, right?
You're just like, here, let me just stuff this for
I brought you some stuff. Yeah, exactly. And he's like, all right, come on back.
Yeah, and I remember Jamilo took you like to the back to the VIP, and you came back out and you had 2 red Solo cups, and they were fucking full of Jack Daniel's whiskey.
Ciroc.
Or Ciroc. Something.
It was the OVO lounge. We go back to the OVO lounge, and it's me by myself, which is weird. I'm like,
which is
okay,
like
he's like, help you. Yeah, this is like Drake's private car, but like as you would learn, with any of this stuff, if Drake ain't fucking hanging out at the goddamn arena, like he pulls up
5 minutes before he goes on.
exactly right before he goes, and then leaves like right away. He ain't like chilling. But it also happened to be like Boogie fucking DeMarcus Cousins was there with like his people, and so they're there. So I actually remember because he I think he was endorsed by Ciroc at that time. So he had the OVO lounge, and they had the bar, which is like a bar like serve yourself. And it was like every fucking flavor of Ciroc imaginable. And Jamil was like, yeah, let's make yourself a couple drinks. You can take one out to your friends, whatever. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm sitting there like making drinks, and then fucking like DeMarcus Cousins comes up and like kind of hits me. He's sitting here like trying to make a drink and stuff as well. And he's like
12.
He's like, sorry. I'm like, I'm sorry. You're fucking huge.
Yeah.
And so that was a trip. Yeah, we ended up getting like super litty that night. That was a fun night.
It was crazy. I just remember you stumbling out of the back, and you weren't back there for that long. It was maybe like 20, 30 minutes, and I'm already just in the VIP, just like living life. I'm like, whoa, this is so sick. And you came out with those 2 red Solo cups, and you just like hand me a cup, and you're like, be careful, it's alcohol. And I'm like, I think it's a drink. I'm like a drink? And you're like, no, it's a whole cup of alcohol.
I don't think they had, like, looking back, I don't think they had, like,
No
any
mixers?
chasers or
No,
mixers
it was
or
just
stuff.
a straight cup of booze. And Will was like,
What flavor of Ciroc were you
But
using?
exactly-
Will was like, this
It's
is
super
Drake's
nice.
booze.
Yeah.
Enjoy Drake's liquor. And holy fuck, I fucking sipped that whole thing down, dude. And I was just like, oh my god,
That was a fun night. That was a really good show. I still remember that he had this big oval like circle or whatever that would like rise up.
He did it in the round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so like it was in So, like, he had his stage or whatever in Arco, but then they have this, like, circle thing that would, like, come down right from the ceiling.
Okay.
And then he would jump on it, and it would rise up, and it's just like this giant circle that goes around basically the floor of the arena. And
it's all lit. It's like the Kanye one, right?
Yeah,
Similar.
it's
Okay,
very
yeah.
similar.
Yeah.
I guarantee they, like, all these people steal
guarantee
ideas from
Kanye
everybody
stole
else,
it.
right?
No, because Kanye did it after. Yeah, Kanye stole it because Drake did that.
Kanye did it
2013.
after.
Kanye's was in like 2017 or 2018. Was the floor
Nickelback did
tour.
that too. Like Nickelback did it on one of the shows I saw where they had like a rising stage and they kind of look over on everybody. But Drake's he had like a 20-minute segment of his set where he's like, "All right, this is a set. Like this is the part of the set that we do. And we go and walk around and like he literally just walked around the circle and be like, "Hey, I see you, girl in white sweater." And like, I see you, dude with girl over there. And
Which was cool because it seemed authentic. He really did that. He was like walking around. He was like, I see you, girl. I see you, mama.
He's definitely making it like, because these tickets aren't cheap. So he's definitely like making it worth their while.
Oh,
And
I'm
shit.
sure it
Like
was
these
a
people are
fortune.
just stoked, like, oh my God, Drake saw me.
This episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. Say it with us, Blue Chew. Blue Chew is making waves and bringing more confidence to the bedroom by offering chewable tablets that can help men get stronger and longer-lasting erections. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Blue Chew's tablets help men achieve harder, stronger erections to combat all forms of ED. Blue Chew is an online prescription service, so no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. And it ships right to your door in a discreet package. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. The best part? It's all done online. Blue Chew's licensed medical providers work with you to find the right ingredient and strength for your prescription. Don't like swallowing pills? No problems here. Blue Chew's Sildenafil and Tadalafil tablets are chewable. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA and prepared to ship direct, so it's cheaper than a pharmacy. So if you could benefit from a little extra confidence in bed when it's time to perform, visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we've got a very special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code SSCAST at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code SSCAST to receive your first month free. And we want to thank Blue Chew for sponsoring our podcast.
Making good music is hard, but marketing your music shouldn't be. It's simple.
Simple was born out of the idea of wanting to help musicians and industry professionals better navigate the modern music industry.
Whether you're an artist, band, manager, or record owner, Simple has a solution for you.
They offer Facebook and Instagram ads management services, Spotify growth, content marketing consultations, and so much more.
Visit their website at oddlysimple.xyz. That's SIMPL, no E, .xyz.
No E. Go check it out.
Thanks. From home studio to your office, your gear performs better in an acoustic-treated room. It's not your gear, it's the room.
RLX Acoustics creates professionally tested products that's not some knockoff mattress foam. RLX provides free knowledge and support so that you can properly enhance your acoustics.
Use code Swenson and Bance in all caps at rlx.com for 10% off your entire order.
The #1 brand in acoustics, providing you trusted solutions for over 40 years.
If it works for us, it's going to work for you.
Make sure to go to rlx.com. That's AURALEX.com.
The only other person, and I've had obviously a lot of concert experiences in my life with both of you guys, and I'm so thankful for it. I obviously got to go Drake. We were like front row. Dude.
Please tell me you're going to bring up the
crazy.
Journey show.
But the best tickets I've ever gotten in my life were from Trevor. He hits me up day of show, and he's like, "Hey, dude."
I hit everybody up day of show.
He's like, "You want to go see Journey?" And I was like,
you were
fuck.
there, Will.
I was like, "Fuck yeah, I want to go see Journey."
We went to Journey. It was Journey and the Doobie Brothers.
No, we didn't go see it. I don't think I.
No, it was
we
me,
went
you, and
to-
I believe
Me,
Andrew.
you, and Andrew.
I think
And then,
Andrew.
and then did I bring Chris? Did we bring Chris?
It might have been Chris.
Okay.
We went to
I just
Alice
remember-
Cooper.
Go to the story then.
But yeah, we
we went to
get
Motley
there.
Crue. And
we went to Motley Crue. Yeah. I remember that one too.
which is also fire.
Yeah.
their last tour ever.
We get up there, dude, and Trevor knew he had the tickets, but he had no idea like what seating they were, where they were, and we get up there.
You were working with
Neil Sean gave me the tickets.
That's right.
And he's like, he goes, "Oh, you're on the guest list. Just come out and grab some tickets." And Simon can tell us.
Yeah, and that was it. So I knew Trevor in some way or form was working with them. And I was like, all right, cool. And we get up there, and Trevor goes up to the window, and he comes back, and he hands me a ticket, and I look at it.
I said the same thing.
It says
I go,
0.
0. I go, what does that mean?
It doesn't say row 1. I was like,
we got to sit on the lawn and shit.
Dude, we get in there, and they ushered us in like fucking kings, dude. And we're just like literally not even front row, like front row's behind us, if that's fucking possible, And I just remember being like, holy shit,
like
dude.
an orchestra pit,
yeah,
basically.
Dude, and Sean and these dudes are just there, just ripping, and it was like I had a whole new appreciation for fucking.
Oh, dude, we're ruined now.
It's
like the same way now. It's like you asked me to go to a show. I'm like, how are the seats? Do we have VIP access? You're like, I'm able to go back.
Huh?
Dude, I'm ruined.
Is there an open bar?
Like it's.
So you can't go to Aftershock now without knowing you have the full pass access to the bar?
Aftershock was always like, because I always had full access.
Yeah.
And Aftershock's just like, it's a long day. Like, I don't know if I have the stamina to like do that anymore. Because I think the last like full time I went was when DGD was playing. And
which we had a great time.
It was, but they played at the very beginning, and it was just like, we're there all day. And I think like it was hot as shit. That happened to be one of those like years where it was super hot.
I think they were playing with Glassjaw.
The Glassjaw headlined that stage, and they had played. We had played with Glassjaw the night before in San Francisco at the Social, the basement venue to the Regency.
Mm-hmm.
And it was. I mean, it's like it's cool, but at the same time too, it's like after a while, it just gets kind of like, okay, I want this. I think the last time I went to Outside Lands. And one of my buddies works for another planet, so he got the hook, and he's like, yeah, if you want to come out. And I don't like trying to, like, we'll come out for a day. I brought out Bethany. And, like, with Outside Lands, they have this whole other, like, upgraded VIP section where you have your own bars and restaurants and, like...
And your own rooms.
Bathrooms.
Seating rooms and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I went to that, and I was just like, okay. And it was a great experience, because it was, like, August. And, of course, like, August in NorCal is usually just awful, but it was, like, San Francisco, so it's just fucking... 60 degrees. I need a jacket. I'm coming from like 100 degrees and I'm like dropping like 40 degrees. I need a jacket. And we're just loving life. I'm like, I don't think I can ever do, just regular plebe shit anymore, I guess.
Sliming around with everybody.
I know, right? Don't touch me.
I mean, the pandemic for sure, as 3 guys that all work in the music industry, like the pandemic for sure has made me like,
kind of extra.
I'll probably fucking slide out to any show right now.
Yeah, I need it really bad.
I might pay to go, dude. Well, but anyway, the point I was making is we saw Journey front row, and I felt very spoiled. I know we're all very spoiled. You were talking about Outside Lands and seeing it on the next level, and I think it's one of those things where I'm like, I'll go to any fucking concert right now.
Oh, now.
Dude. I'm down. Let's go.
You saw me like the year and a half, 2 years before pandemic hit, and it was just like, hey, one of your favorite bands is in town, and they're playing at your venue that you don't have to pay a ticket to get into, and you come like, maybe I'll get it next time around. Which, like, I guess, like, I was like pretty burnt on live music as is, but like nothing like a pandemic to really help you like get excited and like reignite that fire. Like I was doing I was down in SoCal in like October. I was hanging out with some friends, and I had to go get a hat, so I walked through this like open air market, like a fucking street fair or whatever. And at the street fair, I remember walking by, and I like in the distance, I could hear this like a live band playing. I know it's a live band, and then they're like nothing special. It's just like this local band, like this local reggae band in like Huntington Beach. And I just remember stopping there and like stopping for like 10 minutes, like way more time than I probably would have given in the past.
Yeah.
But just to like hear that live music was just like, oh man, like I didn't realize I missed this that much. And then like you hear it, it's such an integral part of all of our lives, really, like to do that. And then like when it's like taken away, you're like, whatever, I don't care. But as soon as like I heard it, I was like, oh man, like
once you hear like the thunder, like of like the bass thundering up, and it's like, oh, I missed this. I like this.
Especially being around other people watching that or whatever. I can't wait. I can't wait for all the shit to pop off and the next few months.
Yeah, it is a weird situation like that where you don't have live music and you miss it so much. And, you know, I'm a victim to the same thing you are and you. You know, I become a little jaded. It's just like, fuck, I'm around it so much and I deal with it all
Like
the
hearing
time.
the
You know?
shots and
Yeah,
I
I'm
have
just
tinnitus.
like, fuck,
and,
you know, I
yeah.
reach a point where you're just like, oh, shit.
But the moment it becomes your job, it's different. You know,
It's true.
Yeah.
You know, like if we do this as fun, like again, I remember being a kid, and I'm sorry, you guys all know I'm a huge Korn fan. We all know I'm a huge Korn
you're a
fan.
Korn kid. I
But
didn't
so
know
like,
that.
yeah, you knew that. Really?
I don't think I did know because
I
I was a
knew
huge
that
Korn.
for
I was a
sure.
Korn kid growing up too.
So
Massive like Issues was kind of the last Korn album that I was really into.
So we can
but-
talk about. We'll talk about some fun stuff here. So the very first concert I ever went to is stupid, but Ninja Turtles live.
That's awesome.
Oh, that
Very
sounds
first
so
concert
dope, though.
ever that my mom took me
Where?
to. It was in an
In
arena.
Wisconsin?
Yeah, an arena.
Like Milwaukee, probably.
In Madison.
Oh, Matt.
Yeah, at the Coliseum.
Really?
Yeah, it was huge. Sold out. It was absolutely nuts. It was the year that
I
they-
mean, this is the year that the movies were out, right? The live action.
Yeah, and then they toured as a rock band. It did it full on
God.
production show. It was
Like
fucking crazy.
in
costume.
In an
and
arena,
full
full
set.
costume, full
animatronic.
full singing.
How awful
I'll-
was
I
that
will.
would
I will
have been?
send
I bet
all
it
you
was
guys the
epic.
videos.
It's like the
I'd love to
PG
see
version
it.
of
Shit.
Guar or whatever.
Yeah.
But like how sweaty and
It was
uncomfortable
essentially
it
like watching Rob Zombie shows, but to Ninja Turtle music. Because Rob Zombie, you know, it's like they had like pyro and they had like revolving shit around the back of them, and
Shredder
they would do like
and stuff.
stunts, and like people would come out and attack them, and like it was
That's
a show.
so sick.
I was like
That's
8,
so
so
sick,
but
dude.
either way,
That's so dope. I want to see that, and I'm 35. I would pay money to see that shit right now.
maybe
I'm about to pay to go to that fucking Jurassic
Yeah,
Park.
exactly.
Let's fucking
Fucking-
call and see if we can
let's
get that out
fucking
into
get the
production. Either way,
licensing, dude.
yeah. So the second concert I ever saw, like you know, you see the local crap with your parents when you go out to the beer tents or whatever it is. But the second concert I ever saw was in 7th grade. And I saw Pantera's Far Beyond Driven tour.
Damn, that's your second concert in
and I
7th grade.
broke my tooth at the fucking show. That ruined me for life. And I was like, I'm done. My second one was ever seeing Dimebag. I'm like, you got to be kidding me with
That's
that shit.
ridiculous. The fact that you were young enough to appreciate it, though, too. You know, like
Well, that was the turning point for me. Was you know in like 5th grade and 6th grade. You know, going into 7th, it was all hip hop because I, you know, the kind of the area I was growing up in, and then. I'd sleep at my dad's house, you know, because my parents were divorced, and I'd sleep at my dad's house, and I'd be out there at night at like 11 o'clock at night, having nothing to do, and he got cable, and I flip
like
on, I flip
120
on,
minutes
well, I flip
and-
on MTV, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Headbangers Ball.
Headbangers Ball,
Yeah, dude.
and Headbangers Ball comes on, and I'm like, you know, it's like Sepultura and like, you know, all these and like Hatebreed and like, you know, all these old bands, and I'm just like, what is this?
Mhm.
And I really dug it. And every single week I'd be at my dad's, I'd be like, I gotta watch this at like 11 o'clock at night. And I'm watching it, I'm just like, this is nuts. I got to watch like Soundgarden's videos premiere and all this shit. I'm like, when they first came out, like, this is madness. And I fell in love with it. And then I'm like, this band Pantera was like, holy crap, you know? I gotta go see this. So we went to go see it.
Isn't it weird how that happens though? Like how music can kind of create that inside of you, you know, take you back to where you want to go. I know it's like a cliche thing to say, but that happens to me all the time, dude. Like I'll hear a specific song and it just puts me in the exact place that I heard it for the first time. You know, I feel like I'm in a fucking virtual reality. I'm like, holy shit, I remember this so vividly, you know?
I mean, but the thing I think with us as well, it's like we're the end of the analog generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we saw the analog and we saw the digital, right? So we were like the kind of the crossover. We like experienced everything, and like how hard you had to work in like the 90s in order to like listen to music that like wasn't on the radio, discover anything, like staying up at 2 a.m. and like hoping that MTV might play. Like for me, I remember like Fat Lip came out, Sum 41, and like when that came out, I remember being like,
But they played
What?
that on TRL.
but so that's the thing. It's like at the beginning, before they popped off, I remember seeing it like late at night, like when they were really like just starting to put that stuff in rotation. Same with like No Doubt and like all this stuff. And I just remember you hear this and you're like, oh my god, I hope they play this again. So I'm gonna watch this whole thing for like hours on end.
Yeah.
And like hope that they play it again. And
But you
half
had
the time,
to.
like it's not like I have fucking YouTube.
Yeah.
I can go and like
Yeah, you can't
just
just
type
turn,
in whatever I want. Like, and even before YouTube, I remember like in college, the big thing for us was because I think that they were based like part of out here, punk rock vids
Oh yeah.
Legendary.
was a big one because I was just like, oh, you mean I can go not only like watch music videos on demand that were like, you know, punk rock and like the scene that I was into, but also see like live shows and stuff. And to like think back on it now, I'm like, man, how the hell did we do that? Like, the only way I was able to buy concert tickets was by going to a record store. Like, there was like 3 record stores that sold concert tickets. You had to drive like to like now, like where it is now. The Ogden Theater was like my main haunt growing up,
which is still going strong.
It's still like really strong, but it was on Colfax Ave, which like growing up for us was like, oh, that's where the hookers are, and that's like where you go to, pay for sex or whatever. And it was like a really
Going to Denver.
But like, it was not a good area, and it's so funny now because obviously Denver's been so gentrified and like just such a hot market now. So that whole like Colfax now is
I heard it's a good place to get a craft beer. No?
Dude, it is. That's apparently that's what people tell me. People stopped asking me. People would be asking me like within the last even couple of years, like, I'm going to Denver. What should I check out? I'm like, no fucking idea.
Dude,
like,
first time I stopped there, I was just like passing straight through, and I was there for like a short period of time. I got off a bus and like smoked a stogie.
I don't think you were on a fucking like Greyhound.
I was on a fucking Greyhound, dude. It was ratchet, dude. I was like 18 going to play with some band in Cleveland, just like fucking trying to chase my dream type shit, And I remember getting off the fucking Greyhound in, downtown Denver and just immediately lighting up a stogie. At the time,
I actually think I know exactly where that was.
At the time, it was Marlboro
the Greyhound
27s, dude. We were all smoking 27s. I don't care who you were, dude. That's what you were burning. And I just remember lighting that stogie. And I got like halfway through the stogie, and I was just fucking out of breath. I was like, what's going on?
In that good
here?
elevation.
Yeah, dude, the elevation really was kicking my ass. And then now, like, in my later years, I'm a massive, massive fucking fan of mixed martial arts and boxing and particularly UFC, Bellator, shit like that. And I see these dudes from Denver just beating the fuck out of like everybody else in the world.
I don't know why you wouldn't train there.
Yeah, and that high elevation is next level, dude. A lot of dudes training like, a lot of the Mexican Latino fighters, they train in Mexico City, where
it's
like
high elements. Yeah, exactly.
Denver is like almost 6,000 feet, right? It's literally the mile high, but it's just funny when you see those dudes. Brendan Schaub is like one of those examples, he's like a fucking podcast connoisseur now. But it's crazy when Fighter and the Kid, dude, he's got them all. But it's crazy just when you see those guys and they're just like, their cardio's next level and you're like, that dude's from Denver.
I never understood why, like, that's a leg up, It's the same, kind of the same goes like, for like the basketball teams and the football teams and everything like that. It's like you already have an advantage half the games of the year. It's like, people come in, and if you fucking like, if you're playing the game right, like really high tempo, really quick, like turnarounds and everything, you're just going to gas these motherfuckers out. And like, they're going to be so tired by the fourth quarter, the end of the game, that you're going to be able to like kind of take out that win. And it never really understood, but then it's like detrimental when you look at like the Rockies, where it's like pitchers in Colorado are just completely fucked no matter what, because
they're hitting that ball out even if you tap it.
Exactly. You're getting home runs like left and right.
No, that's crazy when you say it like that though. I never really looked at it like that and thought about it like that.
Because there's not the oxygen center, so it's going to travel a lot farther because of less resistance.
They have a humidor in Coors Field, which is, by the way, if you ever get a chance to see a baseball game at Coors Field, it's amazing.
Is that the Rockies?
Yeah, that's where the Rockies are, and it's right in the middle of lower downtown, like lots of really cool stuff, like really cool area. But they have a humidor in Rocky Stadium where they keep the baseballs to make sure that they don't dry out, to keep them moist.
Damn,
like
that's crazy.
They've tried to do it. They're trying to do everything they can in order to like
equalize it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because it's like we're hitting more home runs, but so is the opponents. And so they did that. They just raised like the back walls, I think, pretty high, and it's still just like, it doesn't matter. Like, like
smacking him out of the park.
Exactly. They're just like crushing it. It's super weird, and like I've always had to like warn people. I was actually one of the fun parts is like, you don't like have that perspective when you like grow up in Colorado. You're like, this is just how it is. This is how I live. Like, this is like I grow up and like I drive down the road and I see the mountains and they're like right there, which is kind of similar to Sac. Like, you can see it, but they're not as close, like not in your face.
But I mean, where you're from is kind of a destination city. Would you say that, right?
It wasn't when I was growing up.
Like
the thing is,
not a destination.
Denver was a cow town. It was a flyover area.
So that's kind of happened over the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, ever since I left, that was the whole thing. Was like it was a cow town, flyover town, and within the last like probably 12 years, it's just like it's one of the healthiest places. Over 300 days of sunshine a year, all this good stuff. Everybody loves it, but it was super funny because like you get that. Like, I never had that perspective until I go to shows, and you go to shows at like the Ogden, and like, these artists would be getting on stage and they'd be fucking wrecked, like completely wrecked because they're drinking like they normally do, but they're doing it at altitude and like, you know, they're not really paying attention to that shit. So they'd like, you could tell there was like a number of times where it's just like super fucked up, or like they would say, last time I was here, I was like, we played our show and then I had like 2 old English, like zero gravities or whatever. And like I was super fucked up. And like, yeah, like no shit. We go and swim. I was a swimmer in high school, and we would go out to LA every year to swim against Loyola High School in Los Angeles. And we'd go there and we would just dominate. Like our swim team was really good. Like we were national champions, and I never lost a meet like my entire time in high school. So like we were really good, and we'd go out to LA and we would just crush these people. Like you'd go and swim like 100, you wouldn't breathe once. You know, like, you'd be like, this is amazing. Like
we call that Michael Phelps in the ass.
Dude, it's like
you Michael Phelps them.
You like we did, but then they'd be like, yeah, like we suck at swimming, but let's play water polo. And like, you know, like Colorado water polo was just like a club sport. It wasn't even like really a thing at the time.
I saw that we were at the other day. They play water polo everywhere out here.
Yeah,
like it's a high school
in the
sport.
East Coast, and high school here, and then like Maryland, and Maryland's really big or whatever exactly. But like the middle of the country, it's like it's starting to gain. It's kind of the same way with like volleyball, right? Okay, volleyball's really popular on like
Midwest.
both coasts.
Well, Midwest, it's super popular.
Is it?
Am I right about this?
I don't know. What is it?
Water polo is not a regular sport at the schools you went to.
No.
Here, like my high school had a fucking pool and like a star-studded water polo team, and that was like the shit. I remember there was
you go to college.
There was a
chick,
shit. There was a girl like in high school that I dated who was on the water polo team, and like I feel like that was a massive part. I was like, this chick's fucking badass.
I mean, you got to be in phenomenal shape to be a water polo player.
I didn't even know that was a real sport. I thought you only played it in the Olympics.
Yeah, it was.
That's crazy.
That's the whole thing. I came out here and it's just like, oh yeah, it's a common thing. But it's also kind of the same thing where it's just like I have a bunch of friends who like grew up in coastal towns, like Orange County, LA, and stuff. And it's just like, yeah, like I was part of the surf team for a couple of years or whatever. It's just like that's obviously not.
Yeah, that's.
But we had like the ski teams. So I guess it's like all about like the different like areas that you are.
Where you are. Yeah.
But it definitely wasn't like it's not like a football or baseball or basketball where it's everywhere. You know, like no matter what, it was definitely like. It was weird to come out here and I was like, wow, it's like actually a real thing. And like, oh, you got a scholarship to this, like, you got free tuition to come here and play water polo? I didn't realize it was such a big deal.
Was the Ogden, like in Denver, obviously iconic venue, was that the kind of staple for your love of music, or were you just kind of, music was you all the way through already?
Yeah, I mean, well, the Ogden is where I went and saw like shows. The first show we were talking about, shows ever. First show I ever saw was Meatloaf.
That's your first concert ever?
First concert I ever went to was Meatloaf.
So that had to be which tour? Do you remember?
I mean,
and how old were you?
So I want to say this is elementary school.
So then the big one.
Mid-90s. It was like Bad Out of Hell.
Bad Out of Hell.
Yeah.
It's got to be then. So
yeah, like I would do anything for love.
But he won't do that.
Yeah, but he won't do that. I don't know what that is.
He won't do that.
But
that's my fucking least favorite thing when singers do that. Sorry, go ahead.
What, they won't do that?
They just have a fucking part of a song that they crush, you know, but they don't. But I don't know Meatloaf, so I probably sound like a fucking idiot.
I mean, he was like, I don't know how. Like my buddy who I grew up with, he was like one of my first friends to like kind of introduce me to music, and like so he introduced me to Meatloaf for some reason. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And so I remember asking my parents, so my dad and his friend took me, and we went there, and it was cool. It was a cool experience. It was at a place called Fiddler's Green. I think it's called Coors Amphitheater now, but it's like the big amphitheater that's in Denver, and it's so weird because amphitheaters that we're familiar with, like all the ones that like we went to like Warped Tour at or whatever, they're out in like the middle of fucking nowhere, right? Yeah. You know, like you have to drive deep. There's nothing around them. They don't want to mess with like noise ordinances. This Fiddler's Green, this outdoor amphitheater, was like right near my house in the middle of like suburbia, like really kind of higher end. Like,
what was the cap?
Was it a natural? Was it a natural amphitheater?
It was a built-in, so it wasn't like Red Rocks or anything. Okay, yeah, no, it was like It's like, I mean, it was probably, I want to say minimum 10,000 cap.
Oh, so it was massive.
It's
it was huge.
It's the amphitheater. Like it was like you play that. And then the next step would be like a Red Rocks, right? You know, like because everybody wanted to play like one or the other. But that was kind of like the more regular one. But my first actual show I ever went to was the summer after my freshman year. Oh no,
A late bloomer.
Like it was just like based off of like, you know, who can drive and like can I catch a ride with somebody else, and then my friends with older people. The second concert I actually went to was my mom, God bless her soul. It's like one of my favorite stories. She took me to the Ogden. It was Third Eye Blind, Smash Mouth, and Space Hog. So
what a show, dude!
Dude, like honestly,
And that's before Rockstar.
I also saw
this
Smash
is like legit. Like people still like they weren't like this family, and this is like Third Eye Blind, self-titled album, Semi-Charmed Life. You know, like right. Obviously, they're playing the Ogden. This is like
I wish you would step off that ledge, my friend. Shit.
Yeah, I think was that on the free? Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, legend.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, and this was like obviously like right when they started off. So like, I remember being a fan of Third Eye Blind. So my mom took me and my friend. We went there. We're hanging out in the pit. My mom sat on the stairs that went up to the upstairs like balcony bar and just read a book. The entire show. Just sat there and read a book. And we get done with the show. We're like, okay, we're ready to go home. And she's like, good. Like I was sitting there and somebody stumbled over me and threw up all over the floor right in front of me.
Yes.
I am never taking you to one of these shows again. And I was like, okay. She's like, you can go on your own though. And I was like, all right, fine. And God, that was like 7th or 8th grade. And I would think it was like a year or two later when I first discovered concerts. It was the first show I ever went to was Less Than Jake Suicide Machines.
Ooh.
Yeah,
another fire one.
That's a good one. Shit. And just so happened because like my buddy who I went to high school with was like a couple years older than me. He was also like a punk rock kid. He had his license, so like that's what he did. And you know, I was like we talked about I wasn't a great student growing up, so didn't have TV in my house during the week. We were like last people to get a computer. Didn't really like play a lot of video games, but like my parents wouldn't really let me do like they wouldn't let me watch TV during the week. They wouldn't let me play video games, but for some reason they were totally fine with me going to like a show. If it's a Wednesday, yeah, that's fine.
That's a weird situation,
it's
right?
like
That's
looking
so
back
weird.
on it now, like
No,
I wish
now it seems
you're out of the
wise.
house. You're doing something.
I guess until we made but half the time was be like, can you drop us off at this in the ghetto, like in the hood, and then pick us up, and they'd still do it. But it was very strange. It doesn't make any sense.
I mean,
but you're out of the house then. Sorry to interrupt. But you're out of the house, and you're not sitting like a vegetable watching a screen.
It's true.
That's why you're doing something.
And I think they want to encourage your love. Like we were it was a big music household growing up.
and
right?
you're not doing drugs. You know, I feel like a lot of parents like that.
I mean, you're going to punk rock shows.
They know of. You know what I mean? I just think it's one of those cool situations.
So Leslie says to him, like, oh, you know what? I know you won't do drugs. Go to this show over here.
You won't do heroin there.
Total almost
They won't
zero,
be smoking
almost
weed.
zero drop.
Oh, that's cool though, man. It's cool that your parents were able to give you a little bit of freedom and let you kind of figure your thing out. You know.
I mean, that's they're fully responsible for the man I am today, and like the fucking position, like the jobs and career that I've decided to go on. It's like they're always like really supportive. They probably wanted something a little more stable, which I don't really blame them. But like
we all
they like I was always a big music fan, and they were always kind of like really encouraging. But it's super weird looking back on it now. I really wish I could ask them like what was your thought process being like, yeah, it's totally fine for him to go out with all his friends. And like luckily like I was a pretty like I messed around a little bit early in high school, but like then I ended up becoming like the DD pretty much like the last couple of years of high school. I just didn't really like. I grew up in this upper middle class neighborhood where it's like all the parties we went to always got broken up by the cops. All my friends got MIPs, and I guess it was probably me more so than anything else. I was just like, I just don't want to deal with that. I don't want to have to get grounded or have to deal with my parents being like, oh, like have to do community service now because I got this like minor possession. So I ended up just kind of like getting out of it. So luckily, like my parents trusted me, and like the trust went a long way because I wasn't doing. I mean, if anything, I was smoking cigarettes. Right? It's like go there and it's like sweet, we can smoke indoors here.
Yeah. I'm lighting this fucker up.
Yeah, right next to the fucking. It's like John Feldman. I remember we went because back in the day you go to the Ogden and it's just a smoke haze, right? You go and it's fucking everybody sells like cigarettes. So I'm sure it was very similar in like Wisconsin, right?
Oh yeah.
Because California, it's like they outlawed indoor smoking in like the 90s, right? So like I had never been here, but like they did it for us in like 2006 or 7. when they finally got rid of like indoor smoking in Colorado. But I mean, I remember doing this and like, oh god, like went and saw Goldfinger, one of the many Goldfingers. Just I saw him a few times. I think this was Goldfinger, the Hidden Finger Crouching Fish tour. It was Real Big Fish, Goldfinger, Yellow Card, and Teen Idols. Great band.
What a tour, though.
Yeah, great. Just fucking like really great tour. And like this is back in the day too, with John Feldman's obviously like super hardcore vegetarian, and they had the pita table set up in the front
at
row.
that point.
Yeah, they had
is he still? I didn't know.
Oh yeah,
sorry
big
to
time.
interrupt you. That's crazy.
He's hardcore vegetarian, like militant almost. They'd have a little mini card table set up next to the merch table at every show that they did, and it had like one of those janky ass like TV VCR combos, like portable or whatever you can carry around, the little guy. But it had like a videotape playing all the time of just animals getting slaughtered and like.
That's cool though. That's cool though, man.
No, I mean, shout out to you, and like by all means, I'm like, you do your thing, and like looking back on it now, especially like hindsight, you're probably onto something, especially with like how they treat it.
Nowadays they pay fucking tours to have that shit next to the table,
But it was like really intense. But I remember, I mean, you can talking to somebody who's like, here in your bedroom, Superman and
99
shit.
For people who don't know that are listening to, just like a minor bit of clarification, John Feldman is the singer of Goldfinger. He also produced all their records. Yeah, and he's currently right now, and has been for several years, one of the best producers in the game. He did the Used first album, fucking Story of the Year. Yeah, like I could keep going all the way through. And to this day, I mean, he just did the
5 Seconds to Summer.
Yeah, exactly.
He did. I think he did the Mod Sun record, which obviously
he did the new
really
Mod Sun
well.
record. Yeah, he did did the new Avril record.
Yeah,
and I mean, he's
are Mod Sun and
massive
Avril
producer.
dating now? Is that
They
what
are.
That's wild. Good for Derek.
You know what's weird too? Yeah, and he's such a cool dude. I only met him that one time at fucking at Boardwalk back in the day, and it was so crazy. I remember meeting him, and ironically enough, his TM was this kid named Nash, and Nash, who was his TM, was this cool little like kind of hip hop nerdy dude that wore these fucking hippie glasses. And Mod Sun, for like people that have never interacted with him, like. Everything he does is not a fucking joke. Like, that guy is 1,000% just like a super nice, super chill dude. From my experiences, anyway.
Yes.
And
he's
really
good,
he's like that.
He's
All
good
that
man.
positivity shit he says, all that shit is 1,000% real. Like, he's just like super happy all the time. But as TM Nash opened up, who ended up after that tour to go on and have that song fucking
Nash. Oh, Ganache.
Yeah, Ganache.
Ganache.
Exactly.
Ganache.
It's spelled GNASH. Yeah, so it's Nash.
And
I didn't realize it was.
He was Mod's TM dude at that show, and he was a super fucking cool dude. Andrew was there as well. Andrew.
I mean, we managed
Andrew.
Mod back in the day.
Yeah,
we managed,
and he ended up just killing it. But the point I was making in that whole conversation, all that's fucking cool. Mod's the man, but I saw he was dating Avril, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, she's got to be so much fucking older than him. I was like, I thought it was weird. I Googled it. He's fucking 34, dude. She's 36.
Yeah.
I was expecting Avril for some reason to be like 50, even though I know she's not. Obviously, she still looks, stunning and shit, and her career's going crazy, but
She's drinking good Canadian water.
I just thought it was so wild. I was like, damn, she's only 36. And then I started to think about like when Skater Boy and Complicated
you're
and
like-
all that shit
you're
came
such a
out.
Do you think that
teeny
she's
bopper
older
or whatever.
because she was married to Chad, right?
Yeah,
Or-
Chad Kroeger.
Yeah. And I mean, he's in his 50s. So,
Is he? Or is he in his 40s?
I'm pretty sure he's in his 50s.
He's probably in his 50s. He's got to be, dude. He's got
Nickelback's been doing it for 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. And he wasn't
Longer
in
than 20
prison.
years.
I
Yeah,
was pretty
longer
sure at
than
one
20,
point.
probably. I think
Before-
that's
before all the
no. I
Nickelback
think
stuff.
that's a weird, crazy rumor. I feel like I watched some lyric or watched some interview.
Will
or
is the
something of him
fan.
being about
Was he in prison?
I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah, I'm almost positive because it's him and his brother in the band.
His brother's the guitarist, right?
Yes.
And like rips super hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is where their harmonies come into play. That brotherly love, dude, is just next.
No, we managed. I mean, I kind of have a better perspective about that because we managed. Derek was in Four Little Lie
Yeah.
back in the day, like, and that was. I mean, we were managing
Which was a
them
great
like.
band.
2009, yeah, exactly.
Victory Records, right?
Victory Records.
Oh,
that was, I
shit.
think that was the last Victory Records band we ever worked with. It was like them, and because I think we were working with them and A Day to Remember.
Well, and the
around
other
the same
dude
time, and
from Four Letter Lie, Kevin Scaff, the fucking bassist and the singer, or guitarist, was
Guitar
guitarist
player,
and
yeah.
singer. Yeah, but he was the singer as well, wasn't he?
Um,
I'm pretty sure he was the singer.
he was the clean
guitarist.
vocalist. Yes.
Yeah, God, we got to clarify that. He was the clean vocalist, but he's now the guitarist and backup singer in A Day to Remember. And
He has been for 10 plus years
forever.
or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But we managed. I remember Derek and I don't even think he goes by. So he doesn't even go by Derek anymore. I think he goes by Dylan. I had heard that he like changed his name legally because he was having a bunch of issues because he shared the same name as like. I could be totally wrong, so just you know, I might be pulling this out of my ass, but if I remember correctly, it's like he shared the same name with like a serial killer or somebody who was like wanted by the FBI. So he always ran into issues when like he'd like go to fly or whatever like that.
Traveling on. He's like,
But he happens to be like, I mean, he's like one of my favorite drummers that we ever worked with. That dude is a killer drummer. Him and Corey from ASD, Corey LeQuay, were like two like of that era of the very like bouncy and like really moving. Yeah, exactly. Like very, but like I mean, Derek was and that dude, fuck, dude. I remember that dude smoked weed like ridiculous smoking weed. Like there's something like smoking weed, and then like I mean, I'd see him. There was we had the Pierce the Veil, Breathe Carolina. Four Letter Lie and like one other band was on this. We're doing a tour. They played the Boardwalk, and afterwards we got a hotel room off of like Madison. Not was it Madison? No, it's like Sunrise or Hazel in the 50.
Yeah,
like one of those hotels that's over there.
Somewhere
or
in that general vicinity.
And we're just hanging out, having a hotel party, like in a few rooms. Everybody's getting fucked up and smoking weed. I remember watching him go through like a quarter ounce in like 2 hours. And he would just roll, and he would roll like, blunts like this big. It's like at the point you're like, okay, can you get higher? Like, is this possible? Like, I mean, I personally, I've used to smoke a lot more weed than I do now, but like, even like you hit a limit, and you're like, okay, this isn't doing anything for me anymore.
I'm high as fuck. I gotta stop.
Yeah, and like, I'm just not gonna do anymore. Like, why waste it? Look how expensive it was.
You realize you're like, I'm high as fuck, and you're starting to smoke a fucking shoe that you just took off.
Shoe. So everything, my like throat would just be like hashed, probably.
Agent Live 360, the world's first and only publicly offered CRM software designed specifically for sports agents.
AL360 is an incredible state-of-the-art software that does everything from keeping track of clients, professional, and college teams, to even company finances and client return on investment.
This system does it all. Visit agentlive360.com for full details.
Go check it out. Cat clothing for all the cat lovers in us.
Visit catclothing.net for their full line of cat-inspired clothes.
Hoodies, shirts, tanks, shorts, and even fitness gear are now fully in stock for the fall and winter season.
Again, visit catclothing.net today. Check it out. Thanks, everybody.
Meow, meow.
Hey, everybody, it's Trevor and Adam.
We want you to check out Dynamic Talent International, the boutique booking agency with a personal attention to their clients' needs.
From music talent, seminars, podcasts, and YouTube, DTI represents a wide range of incredible clients.
Visit dynamictalentint.com for a full roster list and contact information. Go check it out.
Hey, music industry, need software?
Prism FM is the only independent, all-in-one solution that helps buyers, promoters, and venues manage everything they do.
From holds all the way through settlement, this software is all-encompassing.
Let's replace error-prone spreadsheets with a secure, mobile-friendly platform.
Teams can manage more with less, eliminating costly redundancies while improving team communication.
Organizations using Prism will be able to recover faster when shows finally come back to life.
Visit prism.fm for more information.
You and your business will not be disappointed. We guarantee it.
I love how you described earlier the dude's name. It's the Seinfeld episode. Remember? I don't know. Did you watch Seinfeld?
No, but
there's the same episode where Elaine was dating a guy that had the same name as a serial killer, and they had to announce his name at the Yankee game.
Oh, really?
He's not the killer.
Dude, Jerry Seinfeld is the man. He really is.
Bethany, I was a Friends person growing up. Not the Seinfeld. I was on and
Will.
Bethany,
God,
my
I love
wife,
Friends,
like
too.
hates me for it. She's like,
Terrible.
I can't believe you were either a smart Seinfeld person or a stupid Friends person. I'm like, I guess I was a stupid Friends
I was
person.
Seinfeld. I can't lie.
I was Seinfeld. I'm
I
still
gotta
on
tell the
Seinfeld.
truth. We have to pause.
No, I
Okay,
think we're good. I just
what?
lost the.
You lost audio?
So did I.
You got it's because you came unplugged. Just give it a jiggle.
Better.
Better,
Check,
better,
check.
better,
Okay.
better.
I
Okay,
just
back.
don't want
Sick.
to touch anything. Everybody's so
Yeah, stop
sensitive.
touching
Dude.
shit.
All these fucking
And you just touched
millennials. I know, right?
Damn millennials.
All these
Oh, these
snowflakes.
Gen Z motherfuckers.
Exactly, right?
I really am kind of. The Gen Z shit's going crazy.
So yeah, speaking of Gen Z, what like with all the rollouts and everybody rolling their shit back, would you guys go to a show right now? I know we asked that on our social media the other day, but
At this point, absolutely. I'd like. I mean, I just got my first vaccination shot.
okay.
I get-
So because you're vaccinated, you're gonna go.
I feel a lot better about it. Like, I probably wouldn't do it if there was a risk that I might lose my sense of taste for like 6 months or something like that. I think part of me wants to do it. I mean, I have to run it by the wife. That's the big one, right?
That's number one.
She got to give me the okay.
Is she
Right
not
now, she
vaccinated?
probably wouldn't. Yeah, she got vaccinated too. So she got vaccinated like yesterday. Actually, I took her to Cal Expo. But I mean, anything, just to kind of get out and try it out and see how it is. But
Yeah.
if anything, I want to take advantage of things while they're at limited capacity. It's like I've never been to Disneyland, but like, man, it seems like the right time to try to get in soon. Like
Yeah.
at like 25%. Like I'll take advantage. I hate lines. I don't like big crowds anyway.
I was just telling Vanessa about that this morning too, because this was on the news that they're reopening, and they're reopening with reservation systems now, so they can track the people in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, and this is just me going way off topic, but like, why wouldn't they in the downtime put the same systems in their places as casinos, where they know that person that walks in, they have access to their credit card and their email once they check in right then and there. Then they go in and they track that person and know every single penny they spend in that park. Wouldn't they want to like figure out how to extract every penny of these people now?
I think they do, but I think that those people like do it no matter what. Like if you're, I think casinos are a little bit different because it's like you can go to a casino and not spend a fucking dime, right? Like,
but they know that. Like the thing is that with the camera angles and with the fact that your now your face recognized when you walk into any casino pretty much in the world now.
Wait, but how are we talking about casinos in Disneyland?
Because
the same context?
I'm talking about the fact that you've got Disneyland,
Yeah.
where you walk in and the analytics I'm talking about.
Okay, and you hand all of that information over the second you're in the park.
No. Like, well, yeah. So the moment that the customer walks in, they check in through whatever their system is, and then Disney World will know every single piece of information about that person.
Yeah.
They know which stores they visited. They know which part of the parks they liked better. And all those analytics compiled. We're talking about software and all this shit. It doesn't matter. But like, it's that they could create all of this stuff and have all this data and essentially extract that much more from a customer. Essentially the same way Facebook does it and all the advertising campaigns do. And again, we're rolling back to a huge topic off of a dumb question, but why wouldn't like Six Flags Great America install something that would track what people are spending with that scenario? Or they might, but
I think they probably do on some more basic level, but people are spending no matter what, right? Like in order to get into Disneyland, you got to pay like $120 to get a ticket anyway to get through the door, and you're definitely spending like minimum probably $100 just to buy like an ice cream cone and a lemonade or some shit.
But that's what I'm talking about. Is tracking the analytics of wondering what each individual person was due, and then you can target them with either ad revenue that goes towards what they're doing. God damn it, we are on a crazy topic. Sorry, guys.
I mean, this really what this breaks down to, being an agent, being an artist manager. It's like, it's the same thing. It's like, what can we do to capitalize on these situations with the people that really fuck with us?
I mean, if anything, Disney's probably just lazy. Like, it took them how long to get a streaming service together, and when they did,
biggest corporation in the world is not lazy. They just held out for more money from Netflix, and then they decided, screw it, we'll build our own network.
But they wanted to do it anyway. But still, like they're printing money like hand over fist. Like they're losing far less money than a casino is.
There you go.
They're losing like far less money than a casino is, and I think that like the biggest thing you look at like Disney, even so, like right now, it's like they're like way beyond what they like the projections were, but like Disney Plus or whatever, they just upped the price a month like $1 a month or whatever. Yeah, it went from $12.99 for the bundle to $13.99.
All of them
That's
are
an extra $100 million a month for Disney Plus. And this is like,
Wow.
Well,
yeah,
just look at Netflix. Every time Netflix raises it $1, that's like you said, 100. I think Netflix has close to 300 million subscribers, but $300 million a month extra just off of raising it $1.
But then again, it's like when you're spending, $100 million on movies, like a lot of stuff that like are potential flops. You have like you have to like. I think that's one of the things that Netflix got. And it's like all about original content, right?
Yeah.
You can make a lot more money by doing the original content and drawing people in. But then again, then that just leads in the whole thing where it's just like, okay, how much is too much? And I feel like I have subscriptions to how many different things, and like I don't fucking watch like half of them, But it's just like I have them just in case. Maybe
a cool show pops.
Yeah, exactly. Even though like
and Amazon,
all of these stuff is like
have
free
to have it.
Yeah, exactly. Amazon's like unavoidable, right?
Hey, let's talk about the big news of the day. As of current of this taping, which is they'll be a couple days away after. Paradigm sold.
They sold. I saw that they just announced the Wasserman
Selling
group.
the Wasserman, yeah.
Oh, they sold to the Wasserman.
Yeah, Wasserman bought them.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was just ex Paradigm agents. I gotta read up on it.
No. Paradigm sold to Wasserman.
That seems like
I'm
it
not
should
even
go the
familiar
other
with
way
Wasserman.
around
Does
to
that
me.
make
Wasserman is a gigantic sports agency.
Oh, okay.
Wasserman is huge.
Okay.
So
Because I mean, obviously, I'm when Paradigm contracts come fucking across my table, I'm always like, okay.
Did they have a bunch of
Take this one extra
you
layoffs?
have to remember, music makes maybe 30% of what sports makes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Maybe. The only reason
facts.
you hear about us the most or music the most is because we're constantly doing
Yeah.
something.
But
In
you got
sports,
like one player.
you'll
on
get
$100
one
million
contract, and you
contract,
get paid off of it for 6 years or 3 years or whatever.
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
crazy when you put it like that.
Yeah. So you got to be somewhere.
I mean, eventually, I got a call at 8.
I eventually have to be in bed sometime today or tomorrow, so I'll eventually get there.
We gotta, we're dropping a new Hail the Sun single at 9 p.m. tonight.
Oh, good. So we can put it on here because it won't.
Yeah, it'll be out. It'll be out.
All right,
Like
cool.
by now, and it's probably the best song I've ever made.
We'll plug it away.
That's
Let's hear
That's
about
a hard
your.
question.
I mean, it's tough, and I'm a
Halo
little
has
biased.
written a
But
lot of
like,
really
I mean,
good
even the
songs.
band really thinks like this is their most approachable song from the new album, which is like Rushing. So we're pretty excited. We got the video final cut in today. It looks fucking great. I'm sure by the time you watch this, you'll all have watched it like a million times, hopefully, right?
Well, tell them what it is. Hail the Sun.
It's called Hail the Sun. The new single's called Major Mark. It's off their album New Age Filth, which drops April 16th.
And you can watch it now.
Yeah, you can watch it now. Link below.
That's so crazy though.
We could maybe put it in the below, whatever. Donovan won't care. He'll love it.
I watch enough vlogs. That's I feel like you gotta
Yeah.
do. Link below. I'll put it in the description below, guys.
Click that support button if you're having a great time. Everybody, we're really having a great time. And then
Turn on notifications.
But then all of a sudden it turns into, and this show sponsored by, and all of a sudden everybody's fast forward.
This show is brought to you by Blue Chew.
It is brought to you by Blue Chew.
It is actually.
So
That's crazy, man. Good for Hale, though. I'm glad to hear them just kind of thriving through the pandemic and all of you guys and that whole team. I know that team that you guys have all worked so hard to build together. And I feel like Hale's one of those few bands where I can literally say, like, those are the nicest dudes, bro.
Good people. Makes
They're-
it easy to wake up in the
the
morning.
humility, just amongst that group of dudes. You know what I mean? You meet Donovan, you meet those dudes.
Donnie's
like,
so genuine.
Yeah, like it's just so fucking genuine. I don't hear
This just
any
helps too with
ego.
like a Donovan who
You talk to Shane, any of those guys. It's like there's just no ego involved there. They're just like really love music. They just happen to be really good at writing good music.
and they've been doing this for such a long time that they appreciate it a lot. Like I've worked with enough bands in my day, the flash in the pants, not say flash in the pants, but like bands that get big like really quickly, kind of like almost overnight or whatever, as opposed to a band like Hale, it's been around for over 10 years. And, this is their 5th full length that they're doing, and things are really like you're starting to see a payoff. And it also helps that Donovan, the singer / drummer of the band, also happens to be an agent who works with Trevor. And so he has a better appreciation of the ins and outs of the business and
Which that
what it
understanding
takes.
is so
And
crucial, dude.
it's tough, man. I've worked with a lot of people, and Like, it's nice to have. I always like to work with artists that like want to be involved, right, and like want to like know the ins and outs, because it makes my job easier. It's less of me having to explain to them like multiple times. It's like, this is why we can't do this, and this is why, these are certain ways, and it also helps them like kind of work a little bit harder and pay attention to your brand. Like, why the fuck wouldn't you be fully aware of like what you're doing? This is your moneymaker. The amount of effort you put into this thing is going to determine how much money you make. And you could be on a tear right now, and things are gonna pop off, but like if you become complacent and like you get lazy, then like your career is gonna be done really quickly. And like I think we're all like we've seen it. It's like we don't have to tour as much, we don't have to release as much, and all that stuff, and it just becomes like this really. It just doesn't work, it never works. So.
Well, and I think what you guys have done with Hail has been like a smart transition through all of this. You know what I mean? It's kind of like there's bands out there, where they just kind of flood the people with everything they need. They're like, here's more music, here's more merch, here's more that. And I kind of like the direction that Hail's gone recently, where it's a little bit more, there's a little more exclusivity to that situation. Like, here's a merch drop. We're doing this one time. This is this, and it follows up with the music. It's not like there's no oversaturation there. It's just kind of a healthy context between, here's a specific merch drop for this vibe, and this is what we're chasing, and it's the perfect dosage almost. I
mean, it's you got to get like and shout out to like the guys in the band. I think that we've been always trying to like up our game in certain areas, but like in this pandemic, like a lot of other artists, kind of forces you to change your habits and figure out new ways in order to make money. Like, how do we like sustain this, especially since most of the artists that we work with, they make the most of their money off of touring. So we can't tour for a year. And like, how are we going to do this? And shout out to the guys for kind of like get willing to be creative and like kind of working, and we're doing like these limited drops, and it's catching on, but it's also one of those things where it's like you're going to do it, it's going to go fine once, but like if it doesn't go well, it doesn't mean that you can't, like, you got to build this up, you got to really like continue to work on all of this stuff. So it's a tricky time, but like people got to get creative. So now we're all going to do NFTs with everybody.
Straight up $69 million, right?
Just for the Beeple guy. Yeah, exactly. It's fucking. It's weird. It's so weird to me, but like it's also like, hell, why not? Artists in the history of history have always been criminally underpaid. Even the biggest ones.
Yeah. Well, that was going to be
get paid their value.
That was a question I was going to follow it up with. There's a band like Hail that's kind of like just now starting to see their initial success. You know what I mean? And going out on headliners and selling out rooms. At specific caps that maybe they never intended. But you've worked with a lot of bands. You know what I mean? You have Breathe Carolina, which. You got a straight platinum record under them.
Yeah, before streaming too.
Yeah, which is wild. Like an authentic platinum record and a gold, I'm assuming that came before that. And, where's the difference there, where you're, like you said, you have a band that just kind of gets that out of nowhere. Well, I don't want to say Breathe got it out of nowhere. It was a building process for them
Breathe
too. Yeah.
Put in the work, and like, I just also think that like, you can always say that you're prepared for success in like, the grind, but you're never prepared for it.
Yeah.
Because you work your ass off, a lot of these artists, it's like they work from like being in a band, like in a van and sleeping in a Walmart parking lot to eventually maybe I'll get a bandwagon, and then like maybe eventually we'll do like, a bus. We get like hotel rooms every night, like, and that's kind of like,
Breathe was almost on they were on fly-ins at one
point. They were, but that was like the whole thing. So we did. Obviously, we had success with the band leading up to it, and like we were getting a lot of love in our various world, like the Warped Tours and everything like that. But they did that record. They were doing a bunch of co-writes and everything. They were definitely willing. But I remember we were with we went down to, back in the day. This is back in like Huntington Beach when Fearless's office were down there. And now they're in L.A. But the Fearless offices were in Huntington Beach, and we went there. We talked with Bob Becker, owner of Fearless. And we had this whole sit down. We went and ate at this Chinese restaurant that was on the first floor. It was like kind of like a place where you store boats. Why am I a marina?
Yeah, it was a marina.
It was
Bob could keep his boat there.
Yes, exactly. He always had it, and like they would like go out like on the Fridays, right? Like let's go on the ocean for like a little bit. So he would have that, and it was like these like a couple different offices that were like, I mean, they were bursting at the seams. They were already like way too big.
They were already blowing up as a label at that point.
I mean, this is this is post like Hey There Delilah, which is probably their biggest,
and
you
still
know,
to this day.
and like, you know, fucking
It was like 2009.
at the drive-in,
2008.
like, you know, like they had some huge, like massive records, you know, like, so they had like lots of success before that, but like they eventually figured out they had to move there. But this is besides the point. We were there, we went down, and the whole point of the meeting was like go to lunch, and then like Bob to basically be like, yo, we think that you guys are at that point where you can make the jump. We need to make sure that you're ready. Because it's like, you think, oh, I get a song on the radio and everything's fucking hunky-dory. It's like, no, to get that song on the radio. It's one thing to get like a top 40 hit. It's a whole other thing to maintain that. And it's a whole different thing in order to follow that up with another hit. But like, even to do that, I mean, we're talking like, the dudes, they like to have a really good time. They like to party a lot. And
well, I mean, are you... just like to talk financial numbers, we're talking you had to sit down with the label owner and, you know, what numbers is he saying?
No, it's like not even
cost?
financial. It was literally just like seeing like, do you have the mental fortitude in order to like.
So he wasn't worried about like, you know, I'm assuming that's like $1 million campaign.
It was
or more.
It was $1 million. It was roughly $1 million to get 1 million singles.
He's
sold.
more making sure that they're mentally ready to take
like if
the
we're gonna
lead,
if we're gonna
you
invest
know.
this, if we're gonna invest this money, like we want
But
to
he
make
was
sure
ready
that
to do that. Take that
yeah,
step.
like they did. They felt like they had something there, and they obviously like they were right. You know, they ended up doing the campaign with Blackout, did really well. But like, you know, it's a crazy time because you're getting all the success, and like this is the time when you're getting the most people know you, and like you can party the most. But it's also like, okay, I gotta play a show, do fly-ins everywhere, and I gotta wake up at like 5 o'clock every morning, and go do like radio interviews all day.
But how
It's
did
stuff
you
don't
and the
really
team
think
at
about.
Artery feel at that point? You know what I mean?
I mean,
Like when you're sitting down and they're saying, "Look, we're going to put $1 million behind your boys." Did you carry the same confidence that the label did?
I mean, we knew that they had it. It's like you wrote a really good song. You're only limited, like, you know, it's like we can't like push this. We can't kick the can down the road any longer. Like, you know, if they're gonna break, it's gonna be from this, you know, song or this collection
record,
of songs. So like, let's see what we can do with it. And then they ended up just doing like, you know, it was just like, and you ask them, and they're like, yeah, we can do that. We're ready. So you just take them like at their word or whatever. But it was tricky. I mean, it's something you're never really fully prepared for, and then like you can kind of see why a lot of these other artists who go through this shit just get burnt out really quickly because it's a grind, you know. It's being fucking away from. I mean, I remember like Alisana, or like 2008, 2007, 2008, like when I really in my beginning of my Artery days. And this
Which is
like,
that's like Frail Wings collapse.
yeah,
era
I mean
for
like
them.
massive,
That's, like, huge.
Just like this
Yeah.
is they were crushing it, you know. Like I think that 1 year, I think it was like 2008, they were on the road 320 days. Wow, that's fucking wild. Like even for us, like I don't even think you could book enough tours. And this is like maybe one international run. Well, this is all like
It's all
U.S.
US
national,
hit,
yeah,
like every
dude.
tertiary market.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Taking the support tours that made sense, you know, like just trying to just grind it out. And they were down, like, you know, they're making money, but like, fuck, dude, like that's exhausting. 320 days a year of like.
Yeah, I mean, we had Joey and Nick from Skylit, and they were on a pod recently, and they were doing the same thing, sharing some gnarly stories of those dudes and like how they'd kind of just like
Oh yeah, the
birth-
Alisana stories.
yeah, they had just like birthed, like not touring, but like they had birthed the party life behind touring, you know, like fucking playing Buffalo and all that shit, you know. And Joey and Nick both, you know, remembered going on the road with them and just fucking, they had crazy games where you'd smash a fucking your dude's sandwich or something when he was trying to eat it, all kinds of shit, you know. So it's like, it's wild to see those bands, and Alisana was definitely one of those bands that like really set that precedent for those scene bands at that time, you know.
They definitely did, you know. It was like very. It's I mean, it's definitely wild. Like looking back, I mean, it was like the rebirth of Screamo. I remember thinking Screamo's dead, and then like going to work for Artery, and Alisana was under our umbrella, and being like, actually, this is like alive and well. It's doing really well. I didn't realize that this is like a whole thing, but it made back. But like that's the whole thing. In order to like, you know, they had that lot of that success, and like it wasn't just like, here you go, like. Congratulations, you're big now. It's like, no, you had to fucking work for that shit. You had to like really put in the energy, the man hours and everything.
Well, that's what I wanted to follow up to, though, when we were kind of like talking about the Breathe Carolina stuff is, you know, when did you know? Obviously, you had the meeting. They're telling you, hey, look, we're going to dump $1 million into this.
I mean, they're not
campaign.
saying that, but
like that. But,
that was probably what the.
but they're saying,
total
hey,
bill was
hey, look,
everything.
we're gonna put our full force behind this if this goes right. So you guys obviously committed to that situation, and you were stoked on it. You go home. How long was that transitional period to where like you knew the song was going gold? You know,
I mean, it's pretty quick. That's the thing is like, you know,
that's
you
what I was
hire
wondering.
radio.
How fast did it happen?
You have the intention. Like, we're not just going to like throw this to a couple college kids for college radio. Like, no, the intention is one of the biggest expenses behind that was a radio campaign.
Yeah.
You got to grease the wheels, you know, you got to get
like performing at the studios, etc.
performing at the studios, like do whatever you can in order to get ads and rotations and everything like that. But, you know, radio at least 10 plus years ago was still pretty like, you know, you have like
Exclusive.
3 or 4 gatekeepers essentially, you know. It's like, you know, you got to get in right with the right people or you don't have a shot, you know. It's just like it's a little bit easier now, but even so, it's like radio is such a, you know, it's an old behemoth, you know, and you can't really it's really hard to get in, but it's like if you're successful on the radio, then you're good because most people listen to their songs on radio. Most people are not fans like we are. You're not going out of your way to find new artists. You're listening to kind of whatever you get told to listen to if you like the music anyway. You know?
It's almost like how satellite radio is kind of taken over. I remember when me and you went to LA a few weeks back. You're like the satellite radio king,
He
you
just
know?
loves this guy. He's like, how do you know every song?
He literally knew like every fucking song on
That's
the
how when
radio.
I
And
got my
satellite
car.
radio was just like, I realized over that, you know, 12 hours we're in the fucking car there and back or whatever, you know, it's like they're giving you so many different outlets and so many different songs, you know, and you realize how that can kind of feed to the masses, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And now I'm just addicted to Howard. I just listen,
really?
I listen
Oh,
to Howard
same,
100 all day long.
I listen to Howard all fucking day.
I only
It's the
listen to
best.
fucking.
It's me. I'm just destroying, blowing up over here.
I know, man.
I hate people.
Well,
Sorry.
we got to do a part 2.
Well,
I think for
obviously.
sure.
We'll do a part 2.
You know, we're not going to be
Part
able
3
to get,
maybe?
get
I mean, it
everything.
might be a few years from now, but we'll get Will back on.
You're
This is
first-
fun. This is super easy. I'm going to be fully vaccinated soon, so we'll be good to go.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you should just be the reoccurring guest because I know there was a lot of stuff that we talked about off camera that, you know, people do want to hear from you. There is still a lot.
Still
You know,
get
we
way more
touched on
drunk the
some,
next
but-
time and get loose lips.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, everybody out in TV land or wherever you're listening to this right now, if you want to ask Will a question, you email our Instagram page
Yeah.
So
or
type
put it in the
below.
comments. Bunch of bullshit.
You like what you see? Press subscribe.
We'll ask Will some crazy shit. Doesn't matter what it is. Ask him anything.
Yeah,
you
that's
want.
fine. I'm
seriously,
cool with that.
seriously,
Yeah.
I think that's an important thing. Like Trev said, like local bands, there is a lot of people in this, in not just the industry, but in this region that they want to hear what you have to say. You know, there's a formula, a method to the madness. You know.
Don't get in the music business. That's what. That's my advice.
So I have to tell one last story before we go, and then we'll go.
Oh shit.
And Will even forgot about this till I brought it up to him last week.
I don't remember this at all.
Okay, so we are at
I'm
South
not
by
part of this,
Southwest. I think the last year we ever went. I think that was the year of the accident
Mhm.
when we went on there with like Jackie and all those other crazy people. That was the same year.
Mhm.
Either way. So we're down there, and we're coming back, you know, after I'm just absolutely cashed for being there for 3 days, and I know
My feet
everybody's
hurt.
just
Yeah, your
absolutely
back
cashed.
hurts.
And we're on the plane, and it's just we're in Dallas. I think it was on our layover. Yeah, we were in Dallas, and it was just pouring rain, gushing rain. And I'm sitting there, you know, and the flight wasn't that full, which was actually very nice.
Mm-hmm.
So there's Eric.
This is when you guys are coming home.
Yeah,
Mhm.
this is when we're coming home, so we're all just burnt as shit.
Y'all just hate each
Yeah,
other, and it's the worst. day of
Eric,
your lives,
Eric
yeah.
is sitting in the front of the plane. I'm a few rows back. I don't know if it was Andrew was with us. Maybe it was Andrew or not. I don't know. Somebody else was with us. Maybe it was Shan.
Probably
It was Shan.
Mm-hmm.
And then Will's sitting in the back of the bus. Anyway, and we're delayed because there's lightning strikes outside. You can see him out the
Yeah.
window. And we're sitting there in the tarmac.
Flyer there.
We're sitting in
Over.
the tarmac, and Will, out of nowhere, could I get a fucking drink? Hold on, but that's not the best part of it. And then all of a sudden you start hearing Will be like, hey, we're delayed. Can we get some service, people? Hello? Anybody? And then all of a sudden, nobody's paying attention to him. They come up and like, sir, we can't serve you a drink. We're delayed. We can't do this. And Will, you're a genius for doing this. I couldn't believe he did this. Will tweeted at United Airlines. And he goes, I'm on a fucking plane stuck not being able to go anywhere, and I can't get a drink. Not kidding you. 5 minutes later, the stewardess walks over to her and says, "What can I get you to drink?"
That blue check mark on Twitter starts paying off.
he
when it
tweeted
you got a blue check mark. I never got
Dude,
that.
he
shit.
tweeted right
mark.
at him,
Yeah,
and
blue check mark.
they must have got to her because she walked
You must
right
have
up
had
to
some
him.
flame.
And me and Shan were both like, "Wow, that actually happened."
Yeah, I don't think you can do that anymore.
Oh God, you fucking.
Oh, we sorry you have this. Please.
You fart on a plane
DM
too
us,
loud
yeah.
nowadays, dude, and they're like, "Get on the fucking ground." You're like, "Whoa, dude, I farted. Chill."
I was like, those were back in the days too when I would like wear like a fucking shirt with like a curse word on it or something like that. Just like I don't give a fuck. And then like, I remember one time I wore that and I was walking off the plane. The stewardess goes, or the flight attendant was like, "Next time wear like more plane appropriate attire." And I was like, "What do you mean?" I looked down like,
Say, "Oh yeah, the girl wearing the
Trust no
bikini
bitch."
behind me, she's fine."
yeah.
So we're
Yeah, I
good.
remember I had an Amir shirt back in the day that said something like, it just straight said "fuck bitches, get money," and all gold on the back. And then I do remember, ironically, when I was really young, I was getting a tattoo from this like fucking tweak dude who's like spun out. I was just like 16, like, "Yeah, fucking blast me up, bro." And I'm like looking through his book, and one of the tattoos that he had done across this straight Vato dude's neck, or whole chest, bro, said "Trust no bitch, love no hoe." And in the photo, the dude just like fucking was throwing up his shit, and he had like gold rings on every finger, and it just said "Trust no bitch, love no hoe." And I was just like,
I gotta get that.
Have you seen my Trust No Bitch shirt? No, that was the one. That was one of the lady too. It said "Trust No Bitch" on it, and it was a Homegrown, the band Homegrown.
"Oh shit."
Their shirt, and it was like in bright pink, black. I have it. I have it stashed away in my retired band shirts, and one of these days I'll pull it out or whatever, or have my wife turned into like a quilt or some shit.
Be sick.
Yeah, for the kids. All right. Put
I
the
remember
Trust
so
No
I
Bitch
should
like
have
that on
asked you for that because Vanessa just went to Thunder from Down Under in Vegas. I should have had her wear that.
it. Oh, Trust
Yeah,
No
Trust
Bitch.
no bitch.
That's a good one.
Especially in Vegas. I hope that's what it said on the back.
All right, we gotta go. So Will's gotta
All
go.
right,
We
let's
gotta
see you guys
go.
next time.
Yeah.
Remember, any questions you have, ask them in the comments below.
Yes.
You like what you're seeing? Make sure you give us a subscribe.
All right.
Onlyfans.com/.
All right,
Will.
go listen to Hail the Sun, New Age Phil.
Yeah,
All
shout out to Donovan Hill, the son. Fuck with him.
All right, thanks everybody. See you guys.